Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a company that changed the world. A company that put a computer in every home, a phone in every pocket, and music in every ear. We're talking, of course, about Apple. And you can't tell the story of Apple without talking about the man who was its heart and soul, Steve Jobs. Our story begins not in a shiny glass-walled headquarters, but in a humble garage in Los Altos, California. The year is 1976. Three friends, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne, have a vision. Wozniak, the engineering genius, had designed a personal computer board. The Apple I. Jobs, the visionary marketer, saw its potential not just for hobbyists, but for everyone. They sold Jobs' VW van and Wozniak's calculator to fund their new venture. And just like that, Apple Computer was born. Ronald Wayne, who drew the first Apple logo, famously sold his 10% stake for just $800 after only 12 days. A decision that would have been worth billions today. The Apple I was a start, but it was the Apple II, launched in 1977, that really put them on the map. It was one of the first commercially successful mass-produced personal computers. It had a plastic case and color graphics, which was revolutionary at the time. The Apple II was a massive hit, especially in schools, and it turned Apple from a garage startup into a major player in the nascent tech industry. By 1980, Apple went public, making its founders and early investors incredibly wealthy overnight. But Jobs was never one to rest on his laurels. He was already dreaming of the next big thing. He visited Xerox PARC, a famous research center, and saw something that would change computing forever. The Graphical User Interface, or GUI, complete with windows, icons, and a mouse. He knew this was the future. This vision led to the development of the Lisa, and more famously, the Macintosh, which launched in 1984. The Macintosh launch was an event in itself. It was announced with a now legendary Super Bowl commercial directed by Ridley Scott. A dystopian-themed ad that promised the Macintosh would be the reason 1984 woe and be like. 1984, the Mac was revolutionary. It was the first mass-market personal computer to feature a graphical user interface and a mouse. It was designed to be user-friendly, to be a computer for the rest of us. It was a masterpiece of design and engineering. However, despite its innovation, the Mac's high price and limited software held it back. Tensions within the company were rising. Jobs was known for his demanding, sometimes abrasive management style. In 1985, after a power struggle with the board and then CEO John Sculley, the man Jobs himself had famously recruited from Pepsi by asking, "Do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life? Or do you want to come with me and change the world?" Steve Jobs was forced out of the very company he had co-founded. It was a devastating blow. After leaving Apple, Jobs didn't just disappear. He founded Next, a new computer company focused on the higher education and business markets. The Next computers were technologically advanced, but again, too expensive to be a mainstream success. He also purchased a small computer graphics division from Lucasfilm and turned it into an independent company. You might have heard of it, Pixar Animation Studios. Pixar's first feature film, Toy Story, released in 1995, revolutionized the animation industry and was a massive box office hit. Meanwhile, back at Apple, things were not going well. Without Jobs' vision and relentless drive, the company lost its way. It struggled with a confusing product line, declining market share, and a lack of innovation. By the mid-1990s, Apple was on the brink of bankruptcy. The media was writing obituaries for the company. It seemed like the end of an era. But then, in a twist worthy of a Hollywood movie, Apple made a desperate move. In late 1996, they announced they were acquiring Next for over $400 million. But the real prize wasn't just the technology. It was the man who came with it. Steve Jobs returned to Apple, initially as an advisor, and then as interim CEO, or as he called it, ICEO. The prodigal son had returned. Jobs immediately went to work. He was ruthless in his effort to simplify and refocus the company. He slashed the product line from dozens of confusing models down to just 4. He forged a surprising and controversial partnership with Microsoft, a one-time arch rival, to secure a crucial investment and ensure Microsoft Office would be available for the Mac. He brought in a new advertising campaign with a simple, powerful message: think different. It featured images of icons like Albert Einstein, Martin Luther King Jr., and Muhammad Ali, people who had changed the world. The message was clear. Apple was back, and it was once again the brand for rebels, visionaries, and creators. The first major product of Jobs' second act was the iMac. Launched in 1998, it was a complete departure from the beige boxes that dominated the PC market. It came in a stunning, translucent, all-in-one design in a color called Bondi Blue. It had no floppy drive, instead championing a new port called USB. It was an instant sensation. The iMac was a statement. It said that computers didn't have to be boring. They could be beautiful, personal, and fun. The SHI in iMac, Jobs said, stood for Internet, Individual, Instruct, Inform, and Inspire. The iMac saved Apple, but Jobs was just getting started. He saw another industry that was ripe for disruption: music. In 2001, Apple introduced the iPod, a tiny device that promised 1,000 songs in your pocket. Paired with the iTunes software, it made buying, managing, and listening to digital music incredibly simple. The iPod wasn't the first digital music player, but like the Mac, it was the first one that got it right. It was a cultural phenomenon and completely changed how we consume music. The success of the iPod set the stage for Apple's most transformative product yet. For years, rumors had swirled about an Apple phone. In 2007, at the Macworld conference, Steve Jobs walked on stage and said, "Today, we are going to reinvent the phone." He introduced the iPhone. It was a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device, all in one. It had a multi-touch interface that seemed like magic. It had a full web browser. It changed everything. The iPhone didn't just create a new product category. It created a new way of life. The App Store, launched a year later, unleashed a wave of creativity and created entire new industries. The years that followed saw an incredible string of hits. The MacBook Air, the thinnest laptop in the world. The iPad, which created the modern tablet market in 2010. Apple became the most valuable company in the world, a testament to its relentless focus on innovation, design, and user experience. Tragically, as Apple reached its zenith, its visionary leader was facing his own personal battle. Steve Jobs passed away in 2011 after a long struggle with cancer. The world mourned the loss of a true genius. He left behind a legacy that is almost impossible to overstate. He changed not just one, but multiple industries: personal computing, animated movies, music, phones, and tablet computing. Under the leadership of Tim Cook, who had been Jobs' hand-picked successor, Apple has continued to grow and thrive. They've introduced new products like the Apple Watch and AirPods, and continued to refine their core products, pushing the boundaries of technology and design. The company has become a global behemoth with a brand that is synonymous with quality and innovation. From a garage in California to the most valuable company on the planet, the story of Apple is a story of vision, passion, failure, and redemption. It's a story of how a small group of rebels dared to think differently, and in doing so, truly did change the world. It proves that with a great idea and an unwavering belief in making things insanely great, anything is possible. Thanks so much for watching. What's your favorite Apple product or memory? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories behind the brands that shape our world. See you in the next one.